Welcome to Season 3 of Girl You Know It. For those of you joining us for the first time, Girl You Know It is an offshoot podcast for Black Women Connect Vancouver. Black Women Connect Vancouver is a collective of women who come together to inspire, empower, leverage our strengths, and embrace our diverse experiences. It's a community where Black women in Vancouver can build meaningful relationships and celebrate the beauty of Black womanhood. Girl You Know It is a space where we want to create connection in a different way to talk about our shared experiences as Black women in a serious and fun way and everything in between. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Girl You Know It. We are excited to be gracing your ears on Spotify and Apple and your eyes for those of you who are watching on YouTube, the video recording. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, Girl You Know It is an offshoot podcast for Black Women Connect Vancouver, where we want to create connection spaces in different ways to talk about our shared experiences as Black women and femmes in serious and silly ways and everything in between. I'm Elwiera. I'm the volunteer and community engagement coordinator for Black Women Connect Vancouver and one of your hosts for the podcast. And I will pass it off to our founder and leader and captain.
Get it.
Wow.
I can keep going with accolades.
Keep it coming. My name is Ntaisi Mukwabi, and I am the founder of Black Women Connect Vancouver. Hello, everyone.
Hello. And hello, everyone. My name is Abigail Kibarita Martins.
Oh, okay.
And I am the project coordinator of Black Women Connect Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. Kenyan sister.
Yes.
Sorry, we're going to say that.
Stop.
Yeah, we're going to say this every single time.
I'm sorry, but not sorry. So here we are, episode 3 of season 3. I'm also big into numbers, and I love the number 3. This is just a random fact about me. Because it's the square root of 9. This is a nerd in me, which is my birthday and my favorite number. But today's episode will not be about numbers. It won't. So today's episode will be about us, but not us now. We're going to turn back the clock to yesteryear and let you get to know us as we were kids. As we were little kiddos.
I don't even remember.
We're gonna like ask you and you're like, It's always interesting to hear what people were like as kids because it really gives us a great window into origin stories. I'm a big comic fan. And why people are the way they are. Mm-hmm. So now I'm here with my good Yale friends, wanting to know what makes them tick. And now all of you on the interwebs will know too. So let us dive into the conversation and learn about our mini me's. Okay, so the biggest question to kick off all the questions, what were each of you like as a kid? Like, what was the trait that you were most proud of? And like looking back, what was the trait that you were like cringy about?
Okay, that was a lot of questions. That was like 3 questions.
Okay.
So why don't I start off since, I'm the youngest
here.
Okay.
So you have the closest
I have
memory.
the closest memory to my childhood years.
Okay.
But the first question, what was I like as a kid?
Yeah.
I was kind of the same. I was out there wanting to talk to people, socialize, and just like make friends everywhere I go. And I guess that is also one of like my most, I think, proudest qualities that I have continued on into my life today is that I can mesh well wherever I go. Kind of a chameleon like that.
You are.
But yeah.
Okay, but what was your cringiest?
Okay, so are we talking about like child, kid, or like teenager?
That's really great. Okay, so we're going to define kid as like, babe to like tween.
Okay,
like
perfect.
preteen.
Like preteen, because
it's
teenager
preteen
is a
in
whole
general,
other
cringy.
episode, to be really honest with you.
Okay, my most cringiest. Sorry.
The cackle from me.
It's because I'm like cringing inside. Is me like walking through school with stilettos and like.
Wait, how old were you?
Yes, I started young.
How old were you?
Preteen. I always
like 10?
well, okay.
Preteen is 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Is
So,
it?
Yeah.
Yes. Like, till 12, maybe.
There you go.
I work in the educational system, clearly. No, but still, back then I liked not stilettos, but
Like platforms?
like platforms,
Like
and
the
little
Spice
Girls type
heels and
thing.
stuff like that.
Okay.
I was still like
Okay, so-
doing it up everywhere I went. I don't think much has some things have changed
I don't know.
since now.
I think it would make sense.
I
That
mean,
checks out.
today, you are wearing heels.
How about you, Natasia?
As a kid, I was very active and I was competing with everybody. I just wanted to be outside. I was very outgoing, wanted to make friends with anybody and everybody, super affectionate. Oh, things have changed. And I guess like the cringy moments is like, just preteen. I was just not cute. Like I was like, had bad teeth before I got braces.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah,
my
forgot
braids were bad. Like just the regrowth. Like I just was like awkward. Like when I look at the pictures, like I actually do not think I even have photos like I'm sure my family does of myself during that stage because I look at it and I cringe because I'm just like, ugh, like I was just not cute.
I mean,
Wasn't cute. Yeah.
You
but-
cute now
I
though.
was okay, but do you think? But your parents thought you were cute, though.
I'm sure they're my parents. They're gonna love me regardless.
Regardless whether you're cute or not.
Yeah, they may not say it, but they're probably just like, oh yeah, that's our child. But I do remember when my mom's like, you need braces, and I was like,
Oh.
But then like I remember like a few years later, I looked at like the mold they make for you,
Yeah.
and then I was like, ooh,
I
it was
needed braces.
so bad.
Mine was
My
too.
teeth were so bad.
Mine were too.
Like they were going in.
Yeah.
It was just all over the place. Yeah.
Okay,
So.
well, I'm gonna tell you a secret. I never had braces.
Of course.
Okay,
One
yeah,
of the lucky
perfect.
ones.
Me as a kid, I think I was more high strung. Like I was more tightly wound. I was a person who like refused to not take like obey my parents, but like if they told me to like to do something, I'd be like, I want to do whatever I want to do, and I didn't need them. Like I didn't like my mom would be like, why? She'd be sad that like I wasn't sad about leaving her. You know what I mean? So like I was, yeah, exactly. I would just like she'd drop me off, and they'd be like, okay, don't know who you are, walking in, and like I feel like that's like a proud accomplishment, but that set me up for really not great attachment issues.
Yeah.
Another story.
Yeah.
But that was not great. Cringy. It was definitely. I look like Urkel. I look like Steve Urkel as a child. Yeah. And so I look back and I'm like, oh, Mom, why did you let me do that? And she's like, I was working all the time. You just were dressed and you went to school.
Dressed.
Like, that
As
was the
long
greatest
as you were
thing.
dressed.
As long as you're dressed, that's all we needed. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, I'm still proud of her, but she was a nerd. I mean, I'm a nerd, but
The thing is, we all had to go through that.
Yeah. Except
So-
nowadays they don't.
I
I'm like, the girls I know, like 12 years old, going to like the nail salon. I'll be like there in the nail salon, and their mom's like bringing the kids to get like acrylic nails. I'm like, does this 11-year-old really need acrylic nails and her eyebrows done in Sephora makeup? I'm so confused. Like, I'm like, you have to go through it too if we had to suffer.
And then it's just going to get younger and younger. That's the worst part. It's just going to get younger and younger.
I couldn't wear makeup till I was 16.
Till you were 16.
Yeah, it was.
How old
we
was
know.
it?
I was wearing stilettos at 5. Like,
I wish I was. Probably back then.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. How would your parents describe you as a child?
I would say the same. I know that my parents definitely always say like, you were just so affectionate as a child. Like I just
Like, wow.
I don't know. Like I was just like always wanted to be around them, and I would always be like, I love you. Like I was just like that, and so I think that But I don't think I was ever a person they were like a kid that they were worried about. Like I would hit my head or like I was such a tomboy that I think that they were like, oh, gosh, whatever, like just figure it out. Like she hit herself again. Yeah, like whatever. But yeah, like I think that part has changed. So I think they would say like, oh, like you were very like this, and then I think I grew out of it, I guess.
Were they sad when they said you grew out of it?
I think so. I mean, you always want like, your child to be that forever for you and be like, I love you, Mom and Dad. You know what I mean? And like cuddle, and like both my sisters are like that. I think I just am not. I don't know. I don't think it's a middle child thing either. I don't know. Maybe just life.
Maybe just life?
I think it's just life.
And you show your
Definitely.
affection in different ways.
Yeah, that's what
you
I
do.
feel. So, but some people don't understand that. Just get married and then you'll be like, oh, I have to show affection.
Okay.
For me, my parents would be like social butterfly, which is the same to this day. So, yeah, I don't think anything really different. That's how they characterize me.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I think my parents, I mean, this is like a weird question for me because like I feel like I hid myself a lot from them.
Okay.
Like not like my true self. Like I mean, I presented a certain way because you're the oldest immigrant child, so you
Yeah.
have to like be on it. But I feel like they didn't see how like silly and goofy I was. So like I think that they just saw me as like a very serious child.
Yeah.
Who like, which I guess like when you're like an immigrant parent, you're like good. Like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not making any noise in the corner. Like that's good. We don't want. But then like looking back and like seeing all my friends, I'm like,
Too
you
many boundaries.
It's
Yeah.
too many boundaries. Like there's too many. Like
Yeah.
you're supposed to like explore and like do all that kind of stuff. So like I don't know. I just feel like they would see me as a serious child, and like I feel sad for serious children. It's actually kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I just want you to play and let loose
And be a child.
And
I
be a
know.
child.
It's like you see those things where like they're like, oh, the 10-year-old got like 5 scholarships to college and is ready, and I'm just like, yes, but their social skills, like, are they having fun? You know, like it's great
Are
that
they
they're
learning
they're
those
intelligent, but that's the thing
things?
that's really gonna affect them. And so I feel like sometimes when I watch those things, yeah, I'm like super proud, but at the same time, I'm also like, did you become a kid? Like you miss that. Like that is such an important part of like your development. So.
Ooh, that like touched on something because I felt like I was a serious kid, layered in with like a whole bunch of stuff, and like I didn't really let loose in my 20s, and like I'm learning to like find joy and stuff like that now in my 30s, and like
Right.
really go crazy. And everybody's like, "Yo, you're in your rotation period." I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Yeah.
But like I feel like it's because like the phases were flipped. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I wasn't allowing myself to explore that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was
Until
good.
now,
Until now.
where you know yourself a lot better and you're willing to do that.
It's
for
also a lot
yourself.
better for you now because
I
you're
was
just
just gonna
less
say.
reckless.
Yes, they
Exactly.
will.
I was gonna say.
It's not even that. You're just so much like smarter in your decisions. Like in your 20s, like some of the
Yo,
things
hold
I
that.
was like, really? Like
That's it. Yeah.
I should not. Like I was like, I could have died, or like that wasn't very smart. Like
I could have died.
Wait.
Okay, we need those
Wait.
stories,
No,
Natalia. What are you
we're-
gonna bring out those
my
stories?
parents listen to the
So
podcast.
we're gonna put a pin in those stories, and then you'll hear some near-death experiences from our founder. But yes, it's very true. I feel like now when I'm making decisions, I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't do that in my 20s. So I guess I thank the serious child in me, but I mean, I feel like I'm delayed. So, anyways,
Girl, you're living your life now.
I am living my life.
Yes.
I am living my life. I'm living my best life, and I feel a lot more settled actually.
I love it.
Well, I think that's also therapy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Soft
everybody
girl
should go to therapy. I think if she's
Soft girl summer.
Oh wait, it's November.
Okay, so your parents described you as one way. Now, would your siblings describe you the same way
Yes.
As a child or now?
as a child? Like, did they find you affectionate as a child?
I don't know because my older sister is 10 years or 9 years older than me, so we had a very much more like she was taking care of me relationship.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
even know if like. Yeah, it would more be like siblings even because just know in African culture it's like if you're that much older you're really just raising
You're
Yeah.
raising your
Yeah.
And then my younger sister and I we're a year and 4 months apart, so really it was just like raising twins. So it's like it was like weird dynamics. We just got raised the same, so I don't know. I feel like we were kind of my younger sister definitely was shy, so I think we were different in that way. Like I probably was like more exploring and all over the place, and she kind of would get shy with like other people around.
Didn't you like almost beat someone up for her?
Did I? Or she beat me up? I feel like that's the story.
We will fact check it when she's back.
When she's back, we'll fact check that.
What about you?
For sure, yes.
Should I ask Gail?
Yeah.
Gail!
Come into the room. No, absolutely yes. Exactly the same. Social butterfly. I was also like Gail was like more the shyer one, but she's also 5 years older than me, and whereas my brother is only 2 years younger than me, so we had a closer relationship growing up, and so with that, I was like I was that protective
Yeah.
big sister because he's my baby. He's my baby brother. He's like my little doll.
Oh my God.
Right? But he's a grown man
Let him
now.
fly.
But yeah, I definitely think that they would probably say the same.
Okay. I don't know if my sisters would say that. Okay, so it was only Nick and Shar because Joanna wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
I feel like 6 years apart from Shar, so she would always be like, "Stop mothering me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop it. Like, stop trying to do the thing. I'm different from you. Like, da 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 da.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't have to do chores. Bullshit. I don't have to do all the thing. Don't tell me what to do." So like, I feel like she saw me as like the serious person, whereas Nick maybe got glimpses of like the silliness because we're 18 months apart.
Okay.
So I felt like I could be fully myself around her and not like filter anything.
Yeah.
She was like classic middle child though. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you're not classic middle child.
Oh,
Natasia.
I am.
Are you actually?
100%.
Really?
Yes. My parents will tell you.
Wait,
I have
really?
all the signs.
Okay, wait, really? Okay, I don't get that at
Yes.
all. What was you like when you were a kid? That was middle child
I was
syndrome.
so reckless. Like, you just, like, I was all over the place. Like, you don't tell me what to do. It's my lane. And because it's, like, the eldest, right, has their position in African families. And then the youngest, of course, gets babied. So then what does a middle child do? Do
That's
whatever they
true.
want.
I'm also a middle child, so I guess, yeah, check mark, check mark, check
Wow.
mark.
Like, they don't, like,
Yeah,
they would
that's
question what you
true.
do. But to a certain point, they're just like, well, they always figure it out. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, they don't worry.
They'll
as-
bounce back.
Yeah,
you're
they
not
don't
on your
bounce
feet.
back.
Yeah.
They don't worry as much for you because you've already like pushed so many boundaries that
Boundaries.
they're like, whatever, it's just another thing, you know?
It's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
and I definitely had the attitude and everything. Like, I have every sign of a middle child. Like, yeah, my whole family will tell you that for sure.
Okay, okay. Nick was very like emotional.
Yeah.
Were you very emotional?
Oh, yeah. As a teenager, I was
Yeah.
the worst. I would like cry in my room, listen to sad songs, sometimes even like write letters of sadness.
Oh.
Yes. I was so emotional. Yes.
Little Natalia.
gosh,
I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I would probably like listen to like punk rock because I was Saskatchewan.
Oh, yeah.
Like, like a little skater girl. Like, yeah.
What was your favorite punk rock song?
No, I don't even remember. I remember bands. I remember like loving like Jimmy Eat World and like
What is that?
yeah.
I know who it is. I know who it is. I know who it is.
Okay.
One Tree Hill days. Like I was that.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
probably was Peyton.
I love
Yes.
that. I love that. I love that for you.
Very dramatic. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm trying to reconcile it in my mind, like Natasia being very emotional. I have follow-up questions for your sisters, so I will ask them at
She
some
has
point.
a list now.
Yeah.
What was your favorite age? Like, what was like a solid good year when you were a kid? You're like, wow, this is like golden year. I'll go first.
Yeah.
It was when I was 10, going on 11, and I changed schools. And before, when I was at my elementary school, I felt like I was so serious. And then I felt like moving gave me a chance to change it up a little bit. And I think that with that, it was like, okay, I could be myself a little bit more by like a fraction, by like a little bit. I was serious like 2.0, maybe. Silly, like a little bit more. Yeah.
That's cute.
I think, yeah, like for me, probably just before we moved to Canada from Holland. Because I just remember it just being fun. Like, everything was fun. Looking back now, you could be like, yeah, we really had nothing. But, like, I just remember having a good time and, like, being with, like, family. And, like, you know, we lived close to the beach at one point. And, like, I just remember that being, like, just always fun. Yeah, like, always exploring. Yeah.
How old were you when you guys moved to?
I was turning 10, and then Java was a year younger, so she was probably 8. Yeah, Maka was like 12.
For me, it was, my early childhood years before I went to school. We lived on a farm. During that time period that we lived on a farm, that was like carefree. Golden age. Run through the cornfield. Had the,
That's amazing.
there was a dairy farm like down the road that we would go and look at the cows and the new calves, and I had a bunny.
What was your bunny's name?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Did you
But I
have
had a
only one bunny, or do you have several bunnies?
I had one bunny in that house.
Okay.
And then I had more bunnies in my other house.
Oh, that's so cute.
But yeah, that was Jack and George. I remember Jack and George. Jack was a sweetheart. He died. We had a funeral. The whole family, like it was a really traumatic experience for me.
Oh.
Like he died in my arms.
Oh,
it was
that's
like
actually really
it
sad.
was really.
How old were you?
I was in going to grade 3.
That's a really hard
died
time.
That was the one time my mom let me have him in the house.
Oh wow.
Wait, well, how did he die in your arm?
Was he hit by it?
We don't
he
know.
just died?
We think that he died because his older brother George was a bully and like he got fatter. I didn't notice those things. My parents are not taking care. We were taking care of
You
this
think he
animal.
got
Yeah.
bullied to death?
Yes, 2 males in the same hut.
Oh,
Right? See, I didn't know that before. Now I know.
Now you know.
I don't know.
fighting
Yeah.
for dominance.
But it was like so traumatic. But my parents were really gracious because immigrant parents,
Yeah.
an animal is an animal.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
That's my
We had a
concept.
bunny too growing up.
An
yeah.
animal is an animal.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Except for my dad is opposite. He like loves anything animals. Like we had a
Aw,
bunny in the
cute.
house. We had birds.
That's
like
so
growing up, we had a dog in Zambia. Yeah, he like loves animals.
Yeah, but it was really cute that like we all dressed in black and like
Oh, like a real funeral.
it was a real funeral.
Oh,
My dad
amazing.
prayed. He's a pastor, right?
Oh.
And Gail sang. Gail sang.
I love
it.
it.
was like a whole.
It was a healing.
It was-
and
yeah.
the
Were there
grieving
pictures?
process.
This is
That's
so
I actually wonder. See if I can dig those up.
so cute. We
Anyways,
should post
yeah.
that at your wedding, the reception
Yeah.
slideshow.
So cute.
Okay. What is going from like a really sad memory?
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. What was your favorite memory from childhood?
I think it was more feelings than a specific memory.
okay.
But like the same time frame of us living in the farm and life being kind of carefree. We were able to see like the mountain. We all lived on it was like just like a 1-floor house. So it was many of those times.
Yeah.
Also, another memory is like my dad, when he used to pastor, we would have like African gatherings, and that was like my one chance to meet the other Black kids that are in our community, and it would happen like once a month, once a month, yeah, once a month, and we would just sing and eat and play together. It was just great. Those feelings of like community
Yeah.
and love and laughter and just like freedom
Yeah.
to just be.
Yeah.
So
What was the question?
What's your favorite memory? If you have to think about it, I can go.
No, I think they're similar. Like, I just remember times, like, yeah, the feelings of just, like, either being with family or
Yeah.
friends and just, like, enjoying life. Like, just being, yeah, it was a carefree feeling, I think. And I think that we were third cultured kids because we got to live in, like, 3 different
Yeah.
continents.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of feeling of just, like, exploring all the time and, like, everything's different and new. And I don't think that we really struggled adjusting. I mean, we were sad moving to Canada, but it wasn't, like, we just never recovered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we just fit right back in.
Yeah.
So I think that was, like, always fun. Like, kind of just, like, the memories of just, like, let's figure it out. Yeah, but that's just
cute.
me. I know. I'm not going to speak for my sisters.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
because I know that they don't have that same experience.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
My favorite memory, when I was in grade 4, I was chosen by our vice principal to go to like a vice principal's conference.
Oh my gosh, you told me this. That's so funny.
And I was so excited. And I remember like telling my sister Nick, and she's like, "Of course you'd be so excited." About this.
I picture you in, like, a little business suit.
I was in.
were you in a business? Were you in a place?
It was like a violet, like, you know, like 90s,
Yeah.
like skirt set thing. Like, look at this. Like, this
yeah, set girl.
set
You were
girl.
a set girl from the beginning.
And I was so proud because I remember Mrs. Nishi came down the hall and she was like, "Hey, Michelle, you're going with me to this like vice principal." I was like so happy, and everyone's like, "Ugh, nerd." I'm like, "I don't care.
This is so great.
This is the best day in my life."
You know what it reminds me of like Abbott Elementary? Like, it pretty much reminds me of her. Like, how she's, like, so nerdy as a teacher. Like, that was probably you. Yeah.
That was me. That is me, and I'm okay with that. I've accepted who I am.
I love it. I love it. You're cute.
What is something that you struggled with the most as a kid?
Math?
Yeah, but that's no. I don't think I ever was good at
I was
math.
like, Math was hard.
All the way till grade 12.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Struggle.
I'm surprised I even did grade 12 math.
No, listen.
Like, actually,
It's
that was
hard.
difficult.
Actually, yeah, it was very hard.
Okay, but like,
That's serious.
serious.
She's like emotional.
Like, let's dig a little deeper.
That was really emotional. That was very hard.
Coming home with C's was not okay.
It's an African family. Like, it was very traumatic. You're like, and your sisters are getting A's and everything. I'm like, here's my C. Minus. I think I really struggled with like how I looked. I didn't struggle with my self-confidence, so I don't know if that makes sense. I think that like I wasn't conscious about what I looked like, but I think being the only black girl in so many situations,
Yes.
I was very conscious that I didn't look like the other white girls. And so I think that I was more conscious of that, but I was never, I don't know who I am person. You know what I mean? Like I was like, very much know who I am. Don't mess with me.
Yeah.
Like I was still that person. So I think that was a struggle, but then also not.
Yeah.
Because I don't look back being like, I wish I was a white girl. Like I didn't have that struggle.
Yeah.
But I just was very aware at certain points that like I just wasn't like them.
I think mine is kind of similar to you because I remember like feeling, you know, how sometimes you're in those situations where you're around white people and they say something a little off color and you don't. But I remember feeling like I don't know why I don't why I don't like this, but then I'm like I'm not gonna get mad or unless it was something like outright. Then
then you're like,
then I
let's
told
go.
my thing, but I just didn't understand where like, oh, I got a hint of racism here and there. Just later on in life, I was able to understand and process those situations, but yeah, so I think it's kind of similar. I never had a problem with who I was because I was like, yeah, I am the only black girl. Hello,
Take this.
get to know me. Like, but I was still like, ugh. Why did I feel like that back then?
Yeah. And I think our parents very much pushed that too of like, don't let anyone talk
Yeah,
down
exactly.
to you. Like,
Exactly.
this is who you are, like blah, blah, blah. So I think for that, we just never really struggled with like that part.
Yeah.
I struggle with my hair. Like I struggle with my hair and being really dark skinned.
Yeah.
So when I was in grade 5, actually the same year that I started at my new school, at the end of the year, they did a lice check. And my hair is like 4C.
Yeah.
And it carries like lint like crazy. And so they did a lice check. Like, you have lice everywhere. And I'm like, I don't think I do. Like, it's not. But like, it was all this like white people, right? And so I remember being so traumatized because I got home and my dad shaved all my hair off. And it was the worst. And then from then on, I just really struggled with like how I looked. Like, did I look feminine enough? Because I was like 10. You're 10-year old and you're like, now you don't have hair. And I was like the tallest in my class. So I'm like, now I'm taller than all these guys that I have crushes on. And I had no hair and I look like a girl.
Yeah.
So like those years when I was like growing my hair back, it was really difficult.
Yeah.
And then I never like wished I was like a different race, but I was just like, but I did wish I was lighter. Like I definitely got that way a couple times because I'm like, I'm the darkest of my sisters. Like it wasn't modeled to me in my community at that point, like dark skinned people. Because even when I was going to black church, I was still like the darkest.
Yeah.
So like it was a really difficult thing looking back. I'm like, oh yeah, I did like feel uncomfortable in my skin. And not that I wanted to like be someone else, but I just wanted to be less.
Yeah, less of something.
Less of something. You know, I was still proud, but like didn't feel
if you
as
just change this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or just like less noticeable, like that people are
didn't like catch you
Yes,
or like like
exactly.
I didn't. But again, I didn't want to blend in like so much. It was just like weird catch-22. But I remember that year I was like, I want to blend into the wall.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around anybody.
That's so hard.
Yeah.
Cutting all your hair off.
Yo, and
10-year-old girl.
My mom was at work and she came home and she was like, "What did you do to my daughter?" Because she was like, "You could have just like gone and done the thing." Like it was because I was like being like obsolete and like whatever. My dad was trying to like teach me a lesson. I think the lesson was way too harsh and
That's rough.
it was not great.
Yeah.
It was really, really rough. But we we press on. We persevere and we grow. We talked about what made you sad as a kid. Mm-hmm. What was your biggest achievement? Mine, of course, is when I was Mrs. Nishi's vice president pick. Vice principal pick. Sorry. Whoa.
Vice president.
I'm trying to go all the way to the top.
You're all the way to the top.
I'm going all the way to the top.
To the White House.
To the White House, even though I'm not American.
Proud. I think. Are we still talking like pre-tween?
We're talking about kids.
Like middle.
We haven't left. We haven't left.
We're not teenagers.
Yeah. Middle school. Like is middle school into that?
Yeah.
Okay, middle school can be into that because technically 12 can bleed
still,
into it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was proud of it either.
Oh.
I wasn't very like academic, and then I wasn't. I don't know. I was like very sporty. So maybe I was proud of that. Like I think I was like, I'm sure there was something I won an award for. So I think I was proud of that probably.
What sports did you play?
I did everything. I played soccer. I did soccer, and then I did dance, and then I did track and field, and yeah, whatever was out there. I even tried to do rugby.
How did that work out?
I had to do kickboxing. My dad said no.
Oh.
Because I was like, you're a girl. But like, and you really do get destroyed in rugby, so I probably should not have done that. Like the small person.
Yeah.
Because you're the hook.
Yeah. I was also a hook.
Ooh.
Oh, look at you.
But yeah, actually, that would be a good achievement because my parents are like, no, you can't do it. You're too delicate type of thing. And then I went and I was like,
I'm good at it.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead, I got put in piano. I'm like, I could have been dancing for Beyonce. Paid for my dance lessons.
Oh, I forgot that I played piano. Actually, I'm very proud of that.
I think we all went through piano.
They all think the piano's going to take us somewhere. Where's piano taking us?
Do you remember your recital song?
I don't remember how to play it, but I remember like the feeling that I got from playing it.
Yeah.
It was very dramatic and like a minor. Like it was very that. And I was definitely on my way to being like in the conservatory, whatever they call it. And then at 13 I was like, nope. I do not want to do this anymore. Mom was like, no, like, you must continue. And I said, no, I must not. And I stopped it and I broke her heart.
It's funny how they feel like piano's so studious. I'm just like,
honestly.
I
hated it.
I hated it
I
so
never learned.
much.
I never learned. I went to my recital playing one hand.
Yeah, like, I was just like,
with the soundtrack.
seriously. Like,
so
we would sit in our basement. My mom was like, are you practicing? We're like, yes. And then, like,
Yeah.
next thing we were, like, on the computer. But we had dial-up. So she's like, I hear you. And, like, we're just like, oh, my gosh, I hate this. I hated it so much. But, I did swimming. Actually, I'm very proud of swimming. I was a very good swimmer. And I almost became a lifeguard. And then I don't know what happened. I think I just kind of lost interest. But I was a very good swimmer. Yeah.
We are so
I was
similar
like-
because I almost became a lifeguard too, but I was too young.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was too
they stopped
young.
you.
They stopped
They cut
me.
you,
sad.
cut your legs down.
Yeah,
so you could even, like, go
before I
and
can even
thrive.
go.
Yeah, because in Holland, like, swimming is, like, the biggest
Big.
thing. And so it's, like, yeah. So I just, like, took those skills and then came over here. And, like, I had, like, all these certifications before I moved to Canada.
Look at you.
Yeah. So I would say that's probably the proudest thing.
Aw.
Look at you, lifeguard.
I know. Me saving people.
Now you'd be selected.
I
Be
do.
like,
Yeah.
nope.
Will I save you?
You're like, will the lifeguard please come
Yeah,
and save
exactly.
the... And you're like, oh, I guess so. Which parent did you feel most attached to?
As a child?
child.
You know what? Listen, it's always been my dad. What am I going to like?
Your mom's gonna listen and
you were
be
trying
like,
to skirt
I
around
was like,
that.
wait, no. Yeah, it was just like always a daddy's girl, like really close to my dad. Yeah, like because my dad's also a pastor, and then he would say like sometimes he'd be like preaching on the stage, and then I'd like run on stage, and be like, "Daddy!" and like the like usher had to like drag me out, like I was like, so I wanted to like just stand on stage and like hold his hand, like yeah. So I would say I'm probably closest to my dad.
Were your sisters closer to your mom?
I think we were all closest to my dad to a certain age. Like now, like we're like all in our 30s or 40, and then it's like I think we're like friends with my mom. Whereas like before, it was kind of like she was like more of the disciplinarian, I would say. So not that my dad wasn't. It's kind of like that typical like dad where it's like he says like one thing, you're like, I will never do that again. I might die.
Yeah.
Like
the
that.
one time he goes quiet.
Just like says your name once. You're like, no, don't test that. One. So like I remember as a teenager slamming the door, and then I was like, oh my gosh, because I heard him like stomp down. He's like, what did you do? I was like, I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Did you get threatened? I'm going to remove that door. Hey. Yep. I got it.
Totally.
How about you, my love?
The question was, who
Parents.
were you closest to as a
mom.
child? Yeah. My mom. Me and my mama.
Your twinsies.
Yeah, my twin. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
You guys probably hear me talk about my mom
Yeah.
every episode so far, so you can probably guess. Yeah.
Are you close to your dad now, though?
No, still my mom.
Still your mom. Okay.
Still my mama.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't necessarily close with any of them, just because my mom was working a lot, and my dad, I think we were just too similar. Like, we were way too similar to, like, get along, because all the things that I was annoyed by him about, obviously I saw in me.
Right.
You know, you're like, oh, gosh, why does this person have to do that? And then when you're an adult, you're like, oh, snap, that was me too. But, I mean, I guess growing up, not really... I was close to my dad, and like it makes me like uncomfortable to say because we don't have a relationship right now. Yeah. But I was closer to him just because I that was the only parent that was accessible, right? I didn't really get to know my mom in that way until like as an adult, and now you know she's really like loving and doting, and she's always like, did I do good as a mom? And she's like reflecting, being emotional, and she's a very analytical person, and like if I met her as an adult, I'd be like, you don't have kids. There's no way you have kids. Like, you're too, like, you know. But, yeah, she wasn't very maternal, but, like, she showed up. She showed up for us all the time. So, even when they were going through their separation. So, yeah, I was daddy's girl. Did you have any, like, imaginary friends growing up?
No.
I feel like not.
No imaginary friends, but, you know, I think I played a lot, you know, as kids when you play with like dolls or something, you create this fantasy in your head and stuff like that. I did a lot of that.
I didn't do that.
But I never had like a friend that would be like, hey, Joe, you know, Joe and me are going around. I had my stuffies, but never that. But I do remember like a few years later, still in the age where I could still do that imaginary thing, being like, oh, this doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
I remember
grew up.
Yeah, that age where I was like, okay, this is a switch. Like I could still do that if I was like playing with some kids.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I'm okay by myself.
I'd rather wear stilettos.
See, I wasn't like that at all. Like, I don't know why. I had, like, no imagination, I feel. Like, I was not... Like, Java was very much like that. Like, I'd go in her room. She had, like, all her stuffies lined up and, like, playing and, like, had names. And I had a bear and I named a bear. Like, I was, like, not creative at all. Like, did not, like, put any effort in. Like, I just was not that child. And sometimes, like, even, like, playing in the snow and, like, Java was, like, building stuff. Like, I'd watch her from inside the house and I'd be, like, waving.
Oh,
and be like, yeah, like,
but no, that wasn't you?
Not
you
at all.
Really play?
No, not really. Like I did to a certain extent, but I wasn't like creative. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like if I was active in like a sporty way, then I would do it. But I don't think that I was like I'm just gonna play to play.
Me and bear.
Yeah. Like I played with dolls as a kid, like, you know, but then we'd like do the typical thing of like shave their heads off and like cut their hair. I guess I was creative that way, like gave them makeovers. But like stuff like that, like I was still that, but I wasn't like overly creative. Yeah.
How about you, Elle?
So I think I obviously exuded Leo tendencies before I even knew I was a Leo.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have like imaginary friends, but I imagined that I was like the star of my own show.
Your own show.
Like I was like that narrative of like, you know, like if I was being like filmed right now, like how would I move? And like that's legitimate. And like I even remember vividly like taking out the trash and being like what if like a cute guy saw me, like that narrative of like that played in my head for a long period of time. I mean, it's not gone.
Yeah.
It's not there. But I mean, it was very, very, very evident when I was a child. I was like, ooh, I'm very. As much as I was serious, I was very much like a spotlight person. Yeah, definitely. I remember a kid who had an imaginary friend. We made fun of him.
Oh my gosh.
So no, we didn't have imaginary friends because we didn't want to be made fun of.
Yeah.
That way, you know. We talked about kind of like feeling uncomfortable when you like heard something and you were like, ooh, I know that's like. What was it like growing up as a Black child where you grew up? Because you grew up in Europe.
Yeah, Europe and Canada. Yeah. It was interesting. I think that you're looking back at your pictures and everyone's like blonde, blue eyes.
And then you're over here like,
yeah, like
black.
yeah, they just like stuck them in there.
Yeah.
So that was weird, like looking back. But I think that as a child, you don't fully, until people tell you you're different, you don't notice you're different.
Yeah.
And so I think I remember one time I think one of the boys was like, "You're like black poop" or something, and I was like, "Well, you're white poop." Like I was just like didn't even like I was just like had to come back. I was like, "Who do you think you are?" Like I was just like did not care at all.
Yeah.
And I remember like even like my younger sister got bullied at one point, and then my mom came and one of our languages is like Bemba, and she came like brought a stick to school and was like waving and like speaking in our languages like never touch my child or blah blah, and the boy like never ever like bullied my sister again. Yeah, so I feel like my parents were ready to fight at any moment, which helped us be more like confident. Yeah. So I think that like as much as we knew we were different, they very much pushed like that's why I was like I never really struggled with the self-confidence of like you just if someone says something then you talk back and say something back, you know, like obviously be nice and kind, but like stand up for yourself. So yeah, I think that it was hard if you look back at it, but it wasn't hard to the point where I'm like crying in my room that I go to an all-white school. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was, I would say that. And I think coming to Canada, it was like the language switch because we were speaking Dutch and then coming back and learning English again. That was a little different, I think. Like at first, I think Jav and I would just speak to each other, and then the teachers were like, to my parents, like they need to start speaking English because they need to fit in. So then we like lost our Dutch, and so like those kind of things I think were like a little bit difficult because I feel like we more struggled with like cultures changing more than we did like where we, who we were.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up here.
Yeah.
In BC.
Yeah.
I was born in Abbotsford. So forever surrounded by
Well,
people who don't look like me. Like
nice.
we actually knew everybody who was in our city back then. Like we would, hey, that's auntie, that's uncle, right?
Yeah.
But I think because we were so invested in our community, it helped. And it didn't really become more of like that uncomfortable feeling. Like I still had those uncomfortable feelings, but I didn't start processing it until I was like a teenager where I was like actually confronted with people being like the N-word or I did get that in middle school that your skin is like poop, and I reamed that kid out. My mom was so proud when I told her after school. I was like, exactly. You know, insert here. And it wasn't even at a Christian school, which was even more disappointing when we lived in, because I also lived in Edmonton as well. But no.
I feel like those are the worst.
Oh yeah, it's hard, and that's why I was like, I'm never going to a Christian school again.
We told my parents like, do not put us in one.
Do not put us in one, please, because the amount of I learned what racism was in that Christian school,
which is a topic for another podcast.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I was like the same, like because I grew up here in Vancouver. There were like a couple of like racialized families. I grew up in a co-op as well, so like you played with a lot of kids who were racialized. So I mean, I didn't feel different until I went to Christian school. Wow. And that was the new school. That's when I was like, oh, I'm different. Like, really.
Yep.
I mean, anyways, I knew I was bomb.com, so it didn't even matter. They can all suck it.
That is another podcast too. Oh dear.
We're gonna stop. Last question.
Okay.
Would you characterize, out of all the things that you've thought about and like talked about and know about your childhood, would you characterize your childhood as good? Not happy, but like good.
Yes.
All that was in unison.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was what it was, and like there were so much times of joy in it, and there was like learnings. But yeah, I would say so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a good childhood.
We had a good childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not like traumatized.
No.
Just
And
a little bit
everybody
traumatized. Everybody has trauma.
Yeah, everybody has trauma and everyone has childhood trauma. It looks different, but it wasn't to the point where, like, you know, when you hear certain stories.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
went through that as a kid. Like, you like sit there because, like, I couldn't even imagine what that would look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we'd all be here together
That's true.
in this room, healthy and somewhat healed, right? Anyways, it was so good to get to know you a little bit more, my gals. For everyone listening, thank you for joining us on Girl You Know It. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Girl You Know It. Also follow Black Women Connect Vancouver. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, on Apple, and you can watch it on YouTube.
On all streaming.
On all streaming platforms.
Streaming
I'm sorry. All the obscure ones that y'all want to listen to. It's all on there too. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our podcast episode. You can find us on all streaming platforms, and you can watch our video recording up on YouTube channel, Black Women Connect Vancouver. Until next time.